The key to getting people to upsell through an upsell path is to understand what is it that your prospect is trying to accomplish. Most marketers are so concerned with getting a sale that they miss what it is that their customer is ultimately trying to achieve. So if you have a very deep understanding of who your customer is and what it is that they're looking to achieve for themselves, the ultimate end result, then all you got to do is essentially kind of create this timeline. And it starts with where they are today. Where are they right now? And where do they ultimately want to be? What is the ultimate end result? And then what you need to do is draw a line between those two understandings, where they are today and where they ultimately, the end result that they're ultimately looking for, that experience, that end result experience that they're ultimately looking for. Draw a line between those two, and then start to ask yourself, what exactly needs to happen in order for them to get there? Or what do they need to do in order to get there? Or what are the junctions that they need to pass through, the doors that they need to pass through in order to get to that end result? What do they have to accomplish? And each one of those answers becomes a potential upsell solution in your journey. And I think in the book example that I gave is we had a campaign that was teaching people email marketing. And essentially we were targeting people that were internet marketers. They wanted to build an email list. They wanted to generate a email marketing business for themselves. So we started off with, what's the first step that they need on that journey? Well, the very first thing they need to know is they need to have the blueprint. They need to have the plan. They need to know what it is that I need to do in order to actually accomplish this goal. I need the roadmap. So we then went ahead and created a book. That was our lead-in product. That was the front-end product. It was a book that gave away the system, the strategy for essentially accomplishing this. The second thing that we determined that they ultimately needed is, if you want to build an email list, you ultimately need an email capture funnel. And not just any capture funnel, but a capture funnel that essentially generates leads in a way that frames them to actually buy things. So then that's the first thing that they need. The second thing that they need is they need traffic. You can't build an email list if you don't have any traffic. So the second thing that they needed was traffic. The third thing is, now that they have this email list, now that they are getting traffic, they're getting people onto their email list, now they need to figure out, how exactly do I, send emails to people that actually generate sales for the products and services that we're offering? So all of these things are a necessary step. You actually cannot succeed without them. And then the final thing that they ultimately needed, because these people were coming at it, they were brand new, they didn't have any previous experience, is they needed a mentor. They needed someone that could take them under their wing and essentially show them how to go from where they are to ultimately where they want to be, answer all of their questions, overcome all of their problems, so that they can just get the end result as fast as humanly possible. So that then became this complete solution. We mapped out this journey. We had this complete understanding of what it is that they wanted to do. We understood what needed to be accomplished along the way, and we orchestrated this entire funnel in a way where our upsells became very painful to say no. If you bought the book, if you were sold on the idea that, like, hey, I want to accomplish this. This is what I want. And I'm ready to take action. I'm ready to take out my credit card and buy a product, and that's going to give me the system and it's going to give me the solution. Well, then that person then meets upsell number one. And it's like, in order for you to succeed here, you can't succeed without this upsell. And the person goes, yeah, you're right. I cannot succeed without it. So they just bought something. They bought into the journey. So now the upsells, each and every upsell, becomes very painful to say no, because if they say no to any one of these upsells, they're essentially shortchanging themselves. They're shortchanging their goal. They're essentially admitting that I'm not taking this seriously. I'm not committing to this journey, because if I was, then I wouldn't leave any room for failure on the table. So each one of these upsells then became impossible to say no to, or painful to say no to. And as a result, the upsell conversion rates on each one of these things was extremely high. And this is a very different style of strategic approach, rather, to mapping out sales funnels than what everybody does. Because what everybody does is they put, 99% of their attention into creating a product that people will buy on the front end, and then they just throw stuff against the wall. They have no idea what they should sell on the back end, and they just start lumping things together, and then their conversion rates are terrible because there's no pain associated with saying no to their upsells. It's just a mishmash of ideas thrown together, but it doesn't add up logically in the person's head. They don't say, hey, I need this in order to succeed on my journey to the end result. So each and every one of your upsells needs to be a key strategic necessity for accomplishing the goal that your customer is ultimately looking to accomplish. And if that's not in place, then it's very easy to say no to your upsells. And believe me, most people will.